G'day, listeners. Welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name is Jordan Spencer, and it is that time of week where I get to hang out with some cool sailors and my two idiot mates. First up, joining me is Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
BP.
Welcome me back.
Welcome back, mate.
Yes. So it's been 2 weeks of sort of a bit of wilderness action for all of us, but I've got to say one word, silly season. Well, it's 2 words, silly season. It's going crazy here with sailing. It's just, it's everything's going on.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Better than going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Boss.
G'day, man.
Hey.
Pretty excited about this episode, actually, but I'm a bit scared also. We might just all go into SA slang talk. SA great, the festival steak. It's going to be a beauty. So,
Crack open the Southwark bitter.
But no, it's you're right, BP. It's all happening, mate. We're closing in on some massive things. One, of course, the Blue Water Classic, the second great race, the Sydney to Hobart. 2, the Cup is not far away. The Vendée's in full flight, and Jules Verne attempt, which we'll discuss later.
Yes, and also in Sydney we have some bolle match racing action, of which I have absolutely no idea what's going on, but it's all good.
Hey, Jay, just strike BP's name off talking about the bolle match racing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, I'll work it out. It's all good.
Okay, cool. Well, I can tell why you're fired up because we've got a young South Australian lad to chat to, but this guy is, well, it's also exciting because we're going right deep into the midst of one of the America's Cup teams. So we're going to do a little bit of America's Cup chat. We're going to talk about how you get to being a pro. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one because there's a lot to talk about here. There's plenty of history. So this will be fun. So I'll introduce our guy. All three of us actually watched him grow up. We saw him pack his Star Wars lunchbox when he was 18 and head off overseas for a 1-week gig. And he's turned that into a full life as a pro sailor, including being boat captain for Team New Zealand for 6 years, part of the Artemis America's Cup, the SoftBank Team Japan in Bermuda, and, of course, now boat captain for American Magic. His name is Tyson Lamond. And before I ask him his first question, I should say, beyond all just the pro sailing, he's been able to create quite an amazing life just beyond that as well, including being able to build a long-term committed relationship as throughout this whole adventure he's been on. So the first question, after I say welcome Tyson Lamond to the show, is how is Dean Barker then?
Well, thanks for having me, fellas. It's bloody good to catch up with the South Australian show, really. I was feeling left out for a while that, it was a South Aussie show and I never got an invite. So I was quite impressed when Bicey gave me the call up.
Right. You've always been on the program, mate.
Top of the list, mate. We just had to time it correctly coming into the Cup to get a bit of insight on what's going on. And more importantly, what the inside gossip is with your American Kiwi team.
Well, we're solidly an America's Cup team representing the New York Yacht Club, so you don't get more American than us.
Do you wear like your jumpers over your shoulder with it tied in front of you, like what they used to call the New York Yacht Club necktie?
Nah, that's way too Euro for us, mate.
It gets in the way when they do their haka.
That's not bad for the IT guy.
Oh dear!
Don't worry, he'll offend you soon, mate.
Shall we get into Tyson the bloke before we get into all the stuff that's relevant? Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Tyson is, as we said, the three of us, BP, Bicey and me, we all connect through South Australia, having been there at some stage. And so Tyson, we literally watched him grow up. He's a little wharf rat running around the NYYC SA for quite a while, on the front of most boats, made his life as a pro bowman, got his jump in the far 40s with Mr. David Urry, I'm assuming. Through that program, did the Worlds and went from there. Great guy, always fired up, always having a good laugh, and won the Sydney Hobart once, I think, probably on 2 True, which is another South Australian boat. So he's got the strong connection. You'll see him popped up. You would have seen him pop up in the Extreme Series, in a whole bunch of events, but has really made his name. You know, like you saw him on the AC45s, the Extreme 40s, the TPs, but really has made his name as a boat captain, a man you can turn to make shit happen. That's the first time I think I've sworn on the show. So, so big claim. You've always wanted to be a pro sailor, hey, mate?
Yeah, I guess, I was kind of lucky coming through in Adelaide because not being there at the moment. But, in my kind of time growing up, we had 2 or 3 really, professional sail, we call it, owners. And I feel really lucky that I ended up in David's group because, Dave Urry is exactly what you need to create a good professional career. Dave's from a swimming background, so everything's structure, everything's work ethic, and everything's serious. And I was very lucky that, I started off on Dave's group as opposed to the other 2. At the time, Jeff Urko was kind of finishing up. And then obviously, we had the other guys in town. So, I've got to say I was very fortunate to, be with Dave. And, obviously at the time, Bicey was sailing with him and we had a lot of good guys and, many good years. And then as Dave was away, also sailing with Chris Tillett and, Chris's Mum 30 program, we all know how Chris is and, everything is serious and you're racing. And I really do feel that those 2 platforms was amazing stepping stone for me because it wasn't, the South Australian part of yachting that's, drinking and, it's all having a laugh. Both of those programs were really serious. And, I look back now and, I feel really lucky, that I sailed with those guys and, especially Dave, who I've still got a great relationship with Dave now. And, I hear from him regularly and, he's been great to me.
Has he donated a swimming pool to you yet? Because I got one.
Well, clearly he wasn't as happy with me as he is with you.
No, I ran into Dave down the NYYC the other day and I certainly know he's extremely proud, as is Nick George, of the route that you've taken and where you've ended up, and they like having their little fingers in the inside into the cup. So they love that correspondence as well. So it's always important to have good owners and look after the owners for sure.
Completely. And Nick's another good one. I mean, for me, Nick came on, probably 5 or 6 years later than Dave when I was back home sailing, and I kind of got teed up to go sailing one day, just me and Nick on his cruising boat, and kind of got to know him. And I guess the thing that me and Nick clicked so well with was, his outlook on life and everything's, Nick's done really well in business, but everything's positive. Everything's what we do. And, everything with Nick is, moving forward. And, he's, we're very lucky in this sport that we get to, hang out, shall I say, with a lot of really good businessmen that can teach you a lot about life.
Yeah, here. And you'll be pleased to know, and I'm sure Nick's probably told you, but he's getting fired up for the TP once this lockdown ends and we look to take it to the East Coast next year. So things are looking good. Not to mention visiting Auckland to visit you during the Cup.
Well, I've got the Exile wine on the bench over here. I don't know if I'm allowed to give him a plug, but I'm very happy with the Exile wine. But I'll be honest, I kept saying to him, leave me a spot for the great race, and we all know it's coming. But unfortunately, I can't see any way that I'll be off work by then, so I'll miss it. But I'd love to be there.
Here. So, stepping back a couple of years, so the Dave Urry, the Nick George times, where'd that take you when you first went overseas?
Yeah, I kind of like, if I think back, pretty much straight after the Far 40 Worlds, I went overseas and, really, as you know at the time, Basey, who, I was regularly on the phone with, what do I do next? Where do I go? How do I find this? And I kind of think, the best thing I ever did in my first year was I did everything I could. So whether I was doing Cork Week or Cows Week or Copa del Rey or whatever it was, or how little did it pay, none of that bothered me as long as I was busy. And, we're very lucky in this game, and especially then when you're living out of suitcases, we all did for many years, your life's very cheap. And so, I kind of felt like I did all of those kind of things. And then it really, I guess, got serious for me when I first did the Med Cup with an American team called Glory at the time, which really that season, I think we had 28 boats in Alicante for the first TP52 event, which, shit, everyone would give their right arm to have 28 TPs at a regatta right now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So I did that season with them, and then, I was very lucky at the time. We had, a couple of Kiwis on the boat and that, really helped me out and kind of helped me get into other places. And, the next season I was with Artemis.
Yep. And that was with Beach running it, right? So it was a bit of a Kiwi type run team, which then turns into Team New Zealand.
Yeah, like at the time then, Beach ran Artemis, and obviously Beach had just been with Team New Zealand, and we had a lot of Team New Zealand guys on the boat. And, for sure, the older generation, shall we say, of them. And, I was obviously the young guy at the time. But, yeah, so then we did that year when we did the TP52 and we raced the RC44. Which, the RC44 is some of the best monohull sailing I ever did, amazing little boats. And then, as you say, from there to Team New Zealand.
Mm. Have you got a silver fern tattooed on your right arse cheek or after those years?
No. I'm very proud South Australian, and
West End draft tattoo.
Yeah, West End draft. Well, you better get that replaced just with the SA Great logo.
This team is the most Aussies I've ever worked with, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in
the American Magic
the Cup.
team.
Yeah, American Magic is for sure the most Aussies I've worked for in, one of these full-time sailing teams by a long shot.
Yeah, copy.
Australian Magic.
That's good. That's good. So that means there's 12th man playing in the container still.
No, you know what it means. You know what it really means. The Americans are serious about winning this time.
Well, that's it.
Well, I can assure you we're serious. So.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What do you attribute to the success, mate? Like you said, obviously, just sail everything, not worry about money initially. But you could sail everything and just not do a great job. So what do you reckon you've got that sort of make you stand out?
I don't think I think everyone's got it, but it's still. Like for me, it's all the way that you deal with things that define you, whether the wing flap's just ripped off the back of the wing or the jib's just ripped in half. It's how you deal with the situations that get you the next job. And, it's quite easy in this game, with such big, highs and such big lows, to be a roller coaster. But, I was very lucky, probably, the closest person that I've ever worked with in this game. And, we're still communicate every day. Jeremy Lomas, he used to say, the biggest thing, for you is to always keep the shed positive. Where, we're in an America's Cup base or in a TB52 or whatever it is. Like I feel, the big thing for me is I'm always the same and I'm always upbeat and I'm always happy because at the end of the day, we've got the best job in the world. There's nothing to complain about, when we get in and we have crazy ideas. And as you guys know, the sky's kind of the limit in this industry. And, we're dealing with the best of the best sailors. And they've all got their own ideas. And, it upsets people at times. But I always look at it as the challenge and, okay, well, let's give it a go and see how it goes. Because we're so fortunate especially in the America's Cup, that everything's an option.
Here. And to have so many options and so many opinions, that's even better.
Yeah.
But just before we talk about America's Cup stuff, we've had a couple of Kiwis on and we've tried pushing them for the best Dolt story, right? And you've had a bit of time with so you don't have to answer it now, but at the end of the show, we'll ask you your best Dolt story. Just tuck that into the back of your mind, all right?
Yeah, just let
I
it
think
brew.
we can leave the Dolt stories to you, mate.
Yeah, I've got a couple beauties. Yeah.
I think we all know one. Cool. So let's roll into it. You know, like as we said, you know, you've been involved with the America's Cup for a while, been doing this whole thing. What the hell does a boat captain do?
Well, to be fair, like anything from sponging the bilge to going to the top of the mast to, you know, working out who's going on the water each day to, you know, what time do we start? It's really a broad kind of role, to be fair. And, you know, this is different. Like in the last America's Cup, we had a team of 70 people, and now we've got a team of 140. And, you know, certainly the budgets are up with this event. And so, you know, it's different. Like my role day to day to what it was in Bermuda is very similar. The only difference is we've got a huge crew behind us, you know, building and production that are constantly pumping more and more gear out in the background that, you know, is huge that you didn't have before. But, you know, it's really very broad, you know. I obviously been on the water every single day we sailed this campaign and, you know, kind of always there to fix it or, you know, just to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what they're doing at the time.
So you must be just like the master powerboat driver these days, you know, because you just race.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't think I've ever driven a rib one day since I left Adelaide.
Really?
Never.
Oh, that's a designated role, mate.
Oh, sorry.
Within the cup.
Yeah, you actually sign a contract for that.
Absolutely.
So I guess to be a top pro boat captain, you got to be thinking of everything that's going on all the time, hey? So you must do a lot of pre-prep you must run sort of scenarios through your head. So you
do. I mean, to be fair, in an America's Cup campaign is very different to a TP52.
Mm.
In a TP52, shall I say, which we did for many years, you are 150% all over every little fastening in the boat and you know every single detail about everything on the boat. With these America's Cup boats, these America's Cup boats, it's so technical and, you know, it's an aeroplane. So really,
delegation comes in and you have to manage the delegation.
Yeah, and you really need to have a good overview and understanding. And obviously when anything's being fixed on the water or anything's going on, you know, like I'll be there and I'll be communicating with Dino about what we can do, what we have to wait or when we can go kind of situations. But it's not like your TP52 that you know exactly every screw, what torque setting, all those kind of things. It's more of, you know, you're a global overview, making sure that, you know, you guys are running to the timeline, you're running to the program, the boat's where it should be at each time, and you're ready to go each day, really.
Mm. So let's try and roll into the AC a little bit. You had this amazing experience. You know, you come from the keelboat background, you've grown up doing that. As you say, you got to know your boats inside out, and then you roll across into these foiling catamarans with wings. You know, like your knowledge just must have skyrocketed. That process, like.
I think it's a funny one because I remember we were side by side with the great man Nick Bice going to Sardinia, and I was with Scoob with me. We were going two-handed on the A380, the good ship. And I remember off the bottom of Sardinia when we heard from Dick Bumson as we had reception that the Cup was going catamarans. And I remember thinking my life was over.
Mm.
And this was it. I was going back to Adelaide. I was, going to hang out with Middo or something like that, and that was life. or, if I did a bit better, I could work for Shero for 20 years,
you could always go make curtains with Snowdy.
In the meantime,
Snowdy would have given me a job as well as Shero would have. Shero's always looked out for me.
In the meantime, me and Pickle were dragging in mahi like they're going out of fashion, but and he's worried about a bloody catamaran. We're trying to gut this fish on the aft deck of the boat.
You remember this trip well. It was a beautiful trip right until we turned left into Cagliari. Next thing we're on the wind in 30 knots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be funny in the catamaran, you were thinking, I'm sure.
But really, when we started that 2013 campaign, we knew nothing. And I'll never forget our first Extreme 40 regatta. We were in Almeria in Spain, and we just left the final TP regatta in Cagliari, I think it was. And we'd had an amazing 2 years in the TP 52. And we rocked up there, and we were very much the new kids on the block. And obviously it was an America's Cup team. So, everybody was willing to help and chatting to us. But, mate, we had no idea. And I remember being in the chase boat with Joey and Rod that week, and everything was cool to us and everything was new. And Dean and Jero were sailing, and we had an Aussie on board to help them out. And I remember this one day, and it was Extreme 40, tight, sitting in the harbour, and it's blown 25 knots. And Mark Turner, we're racing, boys. It's the show. And we're the last boat off the dock. And everyone's just shitting themselves, And I'm thinking, what have we got into? But, that's kind of the start of it. And then, we went from the Extreme 40. The next season we did the Extreme 40 and the 45, which was busy year for me, obviously, because I went to every one of those regattas. So it was really regatta to regatta with two kind of very different boats. But, good sailors are good sailors, and they'll go well in either boats. And one was real stadium Extreme 40 style racing, which, I look back on. The Extreme 40 was such an amazing thing. And in some ways I feel that when they went to the foiling boats, didn't really do anything for them, because the old boats, you could big crashes, big capsizes, big nose dives. I thought it was just awesome racing. And then, we had the 45 going, which, like you say, Jordan, we had no idea what a wing sail was or anything. And really, Oracle did an amazing job of walking all the teams through life there. And, you'd take your hats off to Russell and Larry for what their vision was with the Cup, and they certainly, made it a mainstream sport.
Yeah. Now, on that, clearly... at the time, Team New Zealand were the gun, right? First boat foiling, whole way around the course, all that sort of thing. And I remember a conversation we actually had. You were doing some testing was being done with the SL33s, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was, and we were talking about the wings, because to us it was just such a new concept as well. And one of your comments, which I always remember, was it's got nothing to do with what's up in the air. It's actually what's gonna be happening under the water. So Obviously it was pretty clear from day one you wanted to be foiling the whole way around the course, of which, unfortunately, was a bit of the demise in the sense that Oracle got up there as well with you. So it was a bit of a long pipeline, but once they made it, they kind of... But that was the evolution right there, right? A cat fully foiling around the course.
And those SL33s were great. We had two of these little boats that just rocked up here one day, and it honestly was almost like that. Nothing in the middle of them, and it was like, okay, well, these things are going to foil, and it was so raw. And, honestly, 2013 was an amazing campaign. If we think through it from the start to the end, it was always, everything was on time, everything was on budget. We had such an amazing group, and all of us are still close from that event. And, unfortunately, as we all know, whether it's the Volvo or the America's Cup, the fastest boat always wins. And if that Cup was a month before, 100% we would have won the America's Cup. But Oracle, they did such a good job, but really they had barely sailed, and that's what's interesting. And, similar kind of thing going on right now is, Oracle had big setbacks early on and they were late, but they kept getting faster when we kind of felt, once we got into the match that we'd kind of wrung the neck out of it. And yes, we were really reliable and we could do everything with our boat, but was it fast enough? Well, no, it wasn't, because in the end, Oracle had such a better aero package with their boat that, as we all saw in the end, they won the cup.
Shit. Would have been pretty hard to take that one. So close, so many times.
Yeah.
It's probably a huge question. It's probably a huge question, Tyson. At the end, how did the team actually handle it? Really,
I'd say for me the hardest day was, it was the light air day that we didn't make the time limit.
Yeah.
And I remember we were going downwind, and I was sitting next to Joey, and I was thinking, mate, we won the America's Cup here, because Oracle was so far behind, and Curly kind of gave me the little finger to come back. And he opens the side door of the chase boat and Curl says, we're not going to make the time limit. I said, how long we got? And he said, 3 minutes. And we were like in the middle of the run, San Francisco, 2 hulls in trying to get down. So honestly, I felt like that was probably the hardest day. And then, once the shift kind of happened and it was breezy and they were foiling upwind and, all those kind of things, we were in it. We were kind of, okay, we've got to stick with our reliability, which, we did. And, Oracle, everything went right. The last day they broke the wing, they managed to get a repair, the repair held, all these little things kind of played out for them and they got there. And when we got to the dock on that last day, well, I remember when we got on to drop the jib, it was a bit like a wake. And, we were sure we'd won the America's Cup a week before, because I think that cup went for 24 days or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a new relationship, so a lot of Breaking Bad at night with my, girlfriend at the time, shall we say. But yeah, it was tough. But, that's sport really, isn't it? You just got to perform on the day and you got to have the fastest boat.
Well, as Bicey says, it's no doubt probably the greatest comeback of all time, but to be on the other end of it must have been a killer.
Yeah, certainly it's not the way we wrote the story. But, I look at it with my life and, kind of where we went, you kind of think everything happens for a reason and it's all worked out.
Absolutely.
How about if you could turn back time, would have you taken away that controversial lay day that was called?
100%. 100%.
Beautiful answer.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting any answer, but any other answer for that matter.
Yeah, it was an interesting night that night.
Righto, go on.
So, because a lot of us really, we didn't really know what was going on. And then when we heard it, it was, and to be fair, where I was at that point and in the team, you're so deep in what you were in and you didn't really, know exactly, how these big teams work, shall I say. But, yeah, I don't think anyone, and I think we had 122 people then. I don't think anyone would say today that was a good decision.
No. I think so. Obviously, after that, you roll across into the Team Japan thing. You and a few guys from the Team New Zealand go across there, including Dean Barker, which I made the joke about before.
And your bridesmaids, Jero and Daggy.
Just the full hitch up, the whole lot of you.
It's like a little travelling family. You're a bunch of gypsies.
Little flags going along with your little tents.
Well, to be fair, we started that campaign here, and we were here. And then, everything, kind of went the way it did. And Team New Zealand were very uncertain at that point of the campaign. And there was a lot of things going on. And then obviously, the Dino situation happened. And, really, Team Japan, for me was such a good experience and I learned so much. And, Dean and Jero gave me such an amazing opportunity to take on there that we couldn't say no. And we were really fortunate. Like, of the guys that we wanted to have with us, we got 99% of them came with us. And, look, Team Japan was an amazing experience. The Japanese, I can't speak highly enough of them. It's such a cool culture.
You did have the great man, the Fuku himself.
Yeah, Fuchs. And all of those guys, like, I think of what young Aussie kid or what I was like at, some of the age of a lot of these young Japanese kids we had, and just the work ethic and how polite they are, and they will do anything. It was really cool.
Yeah,
it was cool. Obviously, people split and go different ways, and again from that Team Japan thing, like we've seen Holroyd go across to the English team and so forth from there. But then what happens is you finally get back in your comfort zone. America's Cup becomes monoholes and soft sails again. So, you're back.
Get rid of those bloody hard wing things.
You're just back to what you know.
Mate, I'll be happy to have a wing sail.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah, hard wing he's talking about, mate.
A hard wing, not a soft wing.
Yeah, no, I still think hard wing's the way to go.
So
I guess for me, like, it's a really hard one, and we all grew up in Adelaide, right? So, I can just picture walking down the dock. Hey, Dave, we need to buy 2 inshore mains and 2 offshore mains. What do you reckon? you know what I mean, Vicey? Like, it's an interesting concept, and it's cool, and it's for sure here. But I think time in the day and all the rest, the wing sail, and no one can argue about the efficiency on the water. The wing sails are pretty bloody good.
But at least you got a nice simple boat to sail on now.
Yeah. I mean, the boats are interesting. Like, when we first launched our test boat in New England, I'm sure it was day one, and just getting used to how they went. And our test boat was very tippy. And after about an hour, she was laying over on the Narragansett Bay in November. And we were thinking, what have we got ourselves into?
Stuck in the ice, you think?
Crazy. We knew it was all coming. We all heard rumours and we saw the drawings and stuff before it sort of got announced. And then you're literally living it. Like, it must have, when you first sort of started thinking about it and thinking, God, how do we put a boat together? You must have been involved in some amazing conversations, and the fact that it's the first run at the rules. So that conversation about, do we go this way or do we go that way?
Yeah. I think a big thing for our team early on was, we were a new team, and like certainly our team, we're many teams kind of together. Like, I look at our on-water group and it's all very similar guys that have worked together a lot. And then, all the departments are kind of a bit different, but, we've got a lot of guys from Artemis. We've got a lot of the Bellamente Quantum kind of guys. And then we've got a lot of Dean guys, that have been with Dean for a long time.
And of course, then you've got Nick Dana.
Yeah, and we got Nicholas, the token Newport.
Dick Nana.
Token
Zebo.
So no, honestly, like that, the early parts of it, really, I remember my first trip to Newport, and literally they were looking for a build facility, and like we were so lucky because the build team that we've got, kind of like Australia's finest boat builders, really, with Mark Allenson, Brandon Linton, and Tim Hackett. Like, you don't really get much more solid than those three blokes and what they do building the boats. And if you look at what they've pumped out over the years, so we were really lucky that Tim was in New England and knows everything there, and so we really got rolling quick on that front. And the decision had been made to build a test boat, and we were lucky there was a MC38 around, and all those kind of things worked out really well. And we did 90 odd days sailing in that first little boat. which I think as a team and getting us going was such a good decision.
Absolutely. I mean, the question then that obviously say what you can say and what you can't. Once we get deeper and deeper into this, just tell us everything, and we'll promise we'll edit it out. Like when the design started, that design phase with the boats started going on. Clearly, the foils are the main hydrodynamic element. When the design for the hulls was going on, was it more a discussion about aerodynamics or hydrodynamics, like getting the boat up out of the water, or was it?
Well, obviously, as you see with all the boat tours, it's all aero.
Yeah, it's all aero.
Yeah. I mean, you can take it for however you guys see it, but really, the two teams that received the rule, boat ones, look pretty similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two teams that wrote the rules, boat ones, look pretty similar to each other. So, like we kind of, everybody went down their path with their boat one. And certainly us and Ineos were out on one side and, our boat one had the ability to do, so many more things than our current boat, could do, crew mechanics kind of sailing. But certainly, these new boats, it's all aero. And I think the more we see out there and, the more that people watch these boats, they are going to be blown away with how fast they are. And I think especially upwind.
Right. It's I think that was always predicted, right? That the upwind pace of these boats are going to be something else. Now, How about turning corners?
Yeah.
Honestly, the more and more we do, we've done 21 days in our boat too. We didn't sail today because it was pumping here. A little bit like that Volvo race when they all went out and got beaten up that first night by Icy out of here. I think it's 2012. But if you watch all the boats now, like the manoeuvres, I mean, everybody's good. Like in Bermuda, it was a big thing to have a fly time of 98% or whatever it is. Well, everybody's going to fly 100% of the time.
Sure.
And if you don't, you're not going to win. But I'm sure, like we've seen all the teams sailing, everybody's got that, and, the sail setups are all, similar-ish. We're very fortunate, because of our Quantum Sails relationship that we were able to do a lot of sails on the Mule. And so, aero-wise, we feel like we're in a really good position. But, it's just one of those ones, we're 16 days, I think, now from when we first line up, and we've been working on this thing for 3 years and we've never started a race.
And that is the big question. I mean, we talked about this a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
That who's going to push that dial up? Who's going to push that?
First of all, you got to just drop a pin, drop a boat, and just go ping the ends.
Yeah, just go fast at it. Yeah, come across on port. We're going to make it. Yes,
just go up on the bow and ping this, will you?
I'm not sure if you guys remember in Bermuda. But there was, one pre-start, shall we say, that Dean went to Laugh Bend, kind of put his daggerboard into the side of the boat, and he never brought the beers for the fellas.
Rule number one.
Yeah.
Hey, Bossy, I want to go back to the pinging. Let's just talk about that for a second. How's it going to go? Get up on the bow, ready to go. Let's go, mister.
Actually,
Gonna make a ping, mister.
The actual strategy element, though, that comes into that, there's a couple of questions that fly around that. First off is, from a start, how long to go from stationary in the water to full speed?
Good question.
Mate, honestly, in my mind, when everybody enters, they're foiling.
Yeah,
like, they will start in the fall. Yeah,
like I struggle to see, and I think you'll see situations when boats will be two boards in and trying to go slow in the pre-start. but I very much doubt you're going to see a sitting duck, because that's purely what they're going to be. If somebody's in the water, they're a sitting duck.
Yep.
And about to tip over.
And, well, you know what? The boats in the water with two foils down,
probably quite stable, eh?
These boats are way safer than the catamarans we had in Bermuda.
Right.
And I know everybody thought they weren't, but honestly, I spent a lot of time on these boats and on those boats, and these are a lot safer. But
except for the big keely foily thing hanging out the side when you're going next to each other.
Well, you just got to make sure they give plenty of room. Like the old barging in Adelaide might not go so well.
Have to set the idiot boy.
But honestly, there's no weak teams. You look the four teams, and they're four, amazing helmsmen, and it's going to be all on. And mate, I'm so looking forward to that first day out there racing, and there'll be many things.
Yeah. So basically we're not going to see a dial up where no one's going to get themselves caught into a position where they come off the foils, right? So you've made that one pretty clear. That's part of the strategy.
Similar to the Cats, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think starting it's going to be any different to the Cats.
But we've seen it. Somebody gets a hook, drives both boats into windward, you force them into attack or head to wind, and then you pull off and away. But
you won't want to put both boats into windward in these boats.
No.
Yeah.
Because if the leeward boat's going with the windward boat, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. But we're going to see something. Then the next question then, Tyson, and this is one I reckon you guys will know to the nth degree and all about each other, is at what wind speed do you lift up out of the water or you drop back into the water? And I reckon that's going to be one of the differences. Are you picking up out at 4 knots or is it 8 knots or something like that?
No, well, we got to remember the wind limit's 6.5 knots at 5.5 metres.
So all the boats are out of the water at 6.5 knots.
And everybody's going to be flying. It's no different to Bermuda. I remember 12 months before Bermuda, everyone was nervous at what we were going to do racing these 50s at the bottom end of the wind limit. And then you look in the end, everybody foiled the whole time, didn't they? And it's going to be identical to that here. Obviously, I think if we're racing in 6.5 knots, certainly you're probably going to have big gaps on the course. And, it's going to be tough because it's going to be so shifty and so puffy and all the rest. But I don't think that, I don't think that you're going to have a situation at the lower end wind limit, that you really, have a major issue.
All right. So you've been on the water for 21 days with the new boat. The other boat's fairly similar. I'm going to get really close to a soft point here. Are we seeing any differences in speeds with the other boats? Are you able to see that at all, or are you getting close enough to know that?
It's one of those ones. We've done a lot of sailing, and I think I'm trying to think who was out first. If it was Luna Ross or Ineos, but one of them was out quite close to us. When they first went in the water, and I mean, there's so much in manoeuvres and what everybody's doing, what rudder they got in, what sails they've got up, that it's so hard to tell. And we can talk ourselves into thinking we're in a great spot or they're in a great spot. But honestly, you'd be dreaming to think you knew right now because of everybody's got toys in the shed waiting to go into their boat. I always say to my wife, it's going to be a great Christmas or
yeah, righto. So I guess the answer that the listeners out there that want to know is that. But the answer is basically we're going to know in 16 days or whatever.
Exactly. And mate, honestly, you guys make sure you're on station for that day because I think that night there'll be a lot of head scratching in these teams because you've got to remember, there's a lot of money being spent down here. And for sure, this is the most expensive America's Cup I've seen.
Well, but that's that's just another topic.
So in 16 days' time, what happens? She's draw the names out of a hat. What's the format?
So we go like the Christmas Cup, right? And so there's obviously the 4 teams, and we all race off, and then you race off into the final, and it's set up pretty similar to the World Series event. We don't have the draw or any of those kind of things yet, which obviously Ian Murray works and all of that. But really, for all of the teams, it's kind of your only check-in, and then you've really got 15 days from there to your racing for money. But, mate, the scary part is the first team's out of here end of January.
Yeah, that is right.
It's very
How long have you booked your apartment for there?
We're all the way, mate.
USA.
There's
USA.
a lot of confidence.
We're going all the way, mate.
Love it. Hey,
Awesome.
Strategically, have you guys had in-house discussions around the fact that Ian Murray has given us approval to stick a spectator barge right in the middle of the course and load it up with Barcarati Sailors Lager? You know that we've got the approval for that from the race director.
I actually spoke to Ian the other day before he flew off about it, so it is confirmed.
Mate, great idea. Mate, we're all about it. Anything that it can promote South Australia, a bit of Exile wine on board, and I'm happy.
Well, funny you say that. Nick and I have been speaking about a bit of dual promotion.
There we go.
But what we are going to do on the barge is we're going to have some stanchions about 2.5 metres inboard, just in case you get one of the Keely flappy things come flying across.
Keely flappy things. So,
But if we do, I'm going to put out a challenge now because we've got wraps around the cans. Peel off the wrap on the can and try and whack it on the bottom of one of the foils.
it goes past. Although, Bicey, I was absent last week on the podcast, and I did hear you say you were going to leave the other day on the tinny.
Yeah.
Got put off, did it?
No,
Bad weather. Bad weather through Bass Strait.
Yeah, a bit of bad weather coming in through Investigator Strait, off Henley Beach. Couldn't quite launch.
Mate, have you had to rename the VB Express? The Barcarati Express?
Oh, Jesus.
That's a good name for a boat.
I like it. It's a ball
Barcarati
tightener.
Express.
That is a
It's
ball
an
tightener.
absolute ball
Barcarati
tightener.
Express.
We have
You
actually.
haven't sold it, have you?
The VB. Oh, yeah, no, she's gone well and truly gone to the VB Express.
History.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I know.
It's okay. I've just bought the Clarior.
Oh, there's an
Do you
injury.
know the Clarior, Tyson? Have you seen the Clarior?
No.
Oh, mate, the Clarior is the boat to have. And it's a modified Endeavour 26.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, with it's got a 1-inch steel tube bowsprit that goes about 3 metres out the front. It's just fantastic. Fantastic.
Is a glamour.
What's more South Australian, 12-foot cadet or a TS16?
The cadet.
Whoa.
The 16's a New Zealand design, so you'd have to go there.
Hang on, let me check. I'll
port-
just
the
look in my
Portaloo.
Hartley book.
He's got the Hartley book.
down.
So
The Portaloo.
what happens at the end of this AC for you, Tyson?
Mate, at the moment, obviously you get at the end, you pack it all up and put it into containers and, we'll go back to the States. For sure, Colorado's my home these days and we'll see what happens with the world, really. As you guys kind of know, when you're in these programs, you're so invested into it that you're deep and, you certainly lack family time and I feel fortunate. I've got an amazing wife, but I certainly owe a few months to them out the backside of it and then we'll see, what happens with the world really because it's still quite grey, what next year kind of looks like in any situation. It's feeling a lot more positive. But, yeah, it'll be an interesting time. But, I always feel that you kind of get to the end of the cup and you kind of have a little bit of downtime and the next thing you know, it's a lot sooner than you expect and you're burning. Yeah.
Yeah, well, your kids are not school age yet, but they'll get there in a couple, so you'll have to start planning around that, obviously.
Yeah, well, next cup, both my kids will be school age, so...
Yeah. But, they can still learn, we've talked to plenty of young sailors on this program who've gone around and, Dad was in the cup and they were at school in different parts of the world, so it can be done. Definitely be done. Just still on the cup thing, if we're complete novices and you can't tell us everything, so can you tell us what's the most important things we should be looking at? Is it the foils? Is it the rig? Is it the little skegs running along the bottom of the boat? Is it the aerodynamic shape of the deck?
Is it the aerodynamic shape of the helmets on the people driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't say anything.
I think honestly, for the average person, you know, the yachty, like, you know, we all were growing up in Adelaide, I honestly think the thing that everybody's got to watch in that first day is the boat speeds upwind.
Okay.
Yep.
And honestly, like, it will blow people away.
Yep. What angles are you sailing up with?
I was just about to say, can I ask what angles you're sailing?
Are you not allowed to say?
We're going upwind. We're going upwind. We're going closer to the wind than a par 40 would do.
Apparently.
No, true wind angle.
Yeah, no, I know.
And
No, true, not apparent.
There's a lot of wind in your face.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you look at all the boats, right?
Is that where all your hair went?
Up, down. You know, there's only really, on our boat, you know, there's 3 guys that are really, you know, their heads are up there. You know, you look at, I guess Team New Zealand's quite aggressive. The guys are really low in that boat. And all of the boats, I mean, everybody's trying to do the same thing, just their version of it, you know. And we look at all these boats and with every boat you see saying, oh, that's cool, you know. And like you say, everybody's got such good guys that it's going to be interesting because, you know, we saw that Ineos boat launch after us and we're like, shit, that thing looks cool, which their first boat, I want to say, is probably the ugliest yacht I've ever seen in my life.
Behind McCleary Wines.
Behind the babe.
McCleary Wines looked a lot better than that.
Oh, come on.
But honestly, you look at their second boat and it looks so cool. And, like,
So
you know,
cool.
I think all of the new boats, you know, are another step. And so,
Yeah, but sorry, Tyson, to butt in, but, you know, when you look at the new Kiwi boat, I mean, they've gone for that slab side aft section. So, you know, it's interesting that everyone sort of had a little look at all the other boats, you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Is it? How interesting is it?
Yeah.
How interesting is it?
Interesting.
It's interesting, is it? Jordan, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I can see that Tyson's on the edge of something he doesn't want to say, but
Okay.
which is fair enough. We love it because that makes it even more fun.
So how about the average punter? Clearly you guys are going to win. Who are you going to be up against?
Yeah. Who do we put the money on?
In the, what's it called now? The Prada
Cup. Honestly, it's a hard one because I have very good mates on both sides. But I think for the sailing world, it would be bloody good to see Dean and Jimmy have a battle off in the Prada Cup final.
There you go. So we better organise the...
All right, so you've got your money on Ainsley, given that you want him against Jimmy to beat Jimmy. Yeah, I see what's going on.
It'll be an interesting one. Actually, Bicey, I went into the Providore recently to watch a rugby game and I touched the boat when I walked in.
Oh, that's right, yep. You always got to give a little rub.
I thought of Feathers and you and all those guys, you know, and obviously Jimmy's another one of your young Australia guys.
Yeah.
And I said to him, mate, have you been there yet? It's like, mate, I've got no time. I ran into him the other night.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, he's a bit like that. He's kind of makes out he's busy, but he's not really.
And he only drives on one tack these days, so that's interesting.
Yeah, well, actually good because we were trying to
Work that out.
determine who is going to helm the boat.
I've
gonna be
asked him
Jimmy
if he
or-
invoices for a full month these days or what he does.
Or only half a month.
Well, fair's fair, right?
He's on the bilge pump for the other half.
Like an Etchell, you know.
Oh, no, they've upgraded now. You've got a string attached to it. You can do it while you're hiking.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like, you know, it is going to be this Christmas. You know, I don't know if Bakarati's busy over this period, but I'd make sure you block your calendar and maybe we can have a catch-up, you know, around the 21st, 22nd, just after the Christmas Cup, and then
Well,
I'll either won't want to talk to you guys or I'll be feeling good.
I was going to say, I think it's got two ways that could go.
Well, given it's only the Christmas Cup, you've still got 2 weeks to get things sorted, right?
Yep.
And you're going to know where you're at and what end of the scale you're at. And I'd almost feel a bit more scared if you bounced out the blocks just all guns blazing and you've got nowhere to go after that. That'll be pretty scary.
Yeah, it's 2013 revisited.
Yeah. But it's funny, in Bermuda, take Team New Zealand out of it because they weren't there, but we did a lot of race series with Artemis and Oracle. I think Ben might have joined in one of the latter ones. But we raced in completely different conditions. The Cup ended up really light, right? But we raced in 18 to 21 knots. And, probably 8-9 weeks before it, and Artemis were a rocket.
Yeah.
And then you guys look, we did a bunch of changes to our boat, and you look at that day that we raced them top end in Bermuda, which was the day Team New Zealand capsized, and we took 2 races off them, both races that day. So as you all know, the changes will come, and, everybody will adapt. But, certainly it's different here. In Bermuda, we did a new measurement certificate every single day. Okay, we'd do a daggerwood call every single morning. Gerard would get the decision. He'd call us at 7:30 what boards to go in. Like it was big like that in Bermuda, as opposed to here, you're a certificate for the event.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's critical for people to understand that bit.
Yeah, probably. Good point.
Well, you're going to carry the same foils. Like they're probably going to expect Bermuda style that, okay, they've got the light air boards, they've got heavy air boards, whatever. That's not the game anymore. So, you've really got to lug what you've got over the whole wind range.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's critical for people to understand that those boards, the foils, are locked in for the whole.
Well, how wrong can you be? If you got it wrong, how wrong can you be?
Well, I think it's really hard. Like if we're sailing in 10 knots all the time, you're going to get away with it. It's if it's really light. For me, for the spectators and for the event, if we can race in 17 to 21 knots every day, it'll be amazing viewing.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Dial it in. It's up
Might
to
be
Ian
going
Murray.
a bit quick past the barge, though.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You might have to ease her up a little.
Oh, nice. You might not be able to put it in the middle of the course, You might have to come just off onto one of the fringes.
No.
That'd be
It's
right.
in the middle. No, it's in the middle.
I'll create
That's
something
where you've negotiated.
and shoot like the potato gun of the like straight onto the foot. Bark ready. So I was like,
We are negotiating on E-course, I think it was, where there's actually a loop around the barge, like a 360.
Copy.
Yeah.
Maybe a reach to the finish.
Yeah.
No. It's a tack and a jibe and a tack.
Okay.
Are you actually able to sail yourself anymore? Like, if you were wanting to go for a fun sail, is there anything you pull out of the shed or not?
Mate,
I saw Trinacria up for sale the other day, mate. You could put that in the repertoire. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm quite excited. One of my good mates here has just purchased a cherub. So when I get a chance, I'm going to take that out.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, we lived in sunny Florida, so the old F-16 off the beach with the kids and, those kind of things. But, no, it's honestly like I wish we had more time. But, this is the time we're in, and we either make our money now and we make this boat as fast as we can, or we'll sit there wondering all of next year.
Yeah,
Here.
I was just sort of
Absolutely.
interested to see if you ever did have the chance, if you do anything, obviously not much. But if you do have a down day, just go up the road to Outridge's garage. He's got plenty in there you can steal.
Yeah, there's lots of toys.
Mate, I know every playground in Auckland these days.
Yeah.
Mate,
and
seriously,
by that, for
would you
kids
like to
playground.
add them to my blood? Would like add to them to my bloody book? I know every playground in Alicante, in bloody Lisbon, in Adelaide. Yeah. Jeez.
Well, see, things are a bit different in Sydney. Things are a bit different in Sydney because it's quite busy everywhere you go. So I've got a playground straight out at the front of the Palace.
Well,
Sailing Club, so it's all good.
Well, and I can say 100% I wouldn't know where to find a single playground in this world because I do not have kids, so I have no need or interest to go to one.
Oh, you thought it was about the
and
kids?
you're not allowed within 200 metres.
That's right.
I was going to say, you thought it was about the kids.
Even though it's just crazy, isn't it? Like no grown-up man can go anywhere near a playground just if he doesn't have a child. So, I'll stay well clear, not starting anything.
That's why you put a sailing club next to a playground.
Hey, Ty, awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for a little insight. We look forward to some commentary post Christmas Cup.
I think so. I
Now,
think it's well
final
worth it.
question. best dolt story. What do you got?
See, you really got me going here. I'm going to have to think about it.
Well, we gave you a whole
The
episode.
whole hour.
I know I forgot about it, though.
Oh.
That's the problem with people with only one brain cell. I'm the same. It's all right. It's all right. I'm the same.
How about a dick bum story?
Yeah, give us a story about Dick Bum dancing with a chair at your wedding.
He was in a bad day that night, wasn't he?
Yeah. But just a quick a few years ago, Tyson brought his beautiful wife to marry her at the Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia, and brought across a couple of his NZ compatriots in Richard Meacham and Gero. Who else we had? Eddie Smythe and a few of the others. And I was fortunate enough to take on the MC position about halfway through the night, because originally I'd copped a bad rap, having done a few MC roles previously, which turned into divorces. So Cruzy wasn't all that keen for me to take over.
I actually was at another wedding that you were the MC of in Valencia many years ago. Yeah.
But anyway, as we kind of got all the show rolling, one of the compatriots, Dick Bum, started dancing with a chair, and I tell you, he can dance with a chair. That was fantastic.
Did he step on its toes?
See, that night was the first scrum Australia had beaten New Zealand in 15 years at the NYYC.
Not that we know what a scrum is in South Australia.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool, mate. Yeah. Loved having you on.
Thank you guys very much, and I look forward to chatting as we get into the business end of the season.
Be in touch, and I'll tell Nick you've still got some wine on that's unopened.
I've got one bottle left up there.
My advice would be drink it so you can get some more.
Let him know there's only one bottle left.
Yeah, I think you'll be getting a free case. Don't worry, you've plugged him enough, mate. There'll be one turning up in the mail.
Didn't we say the barge was going to be sponsored by Exile Wines from South Australia?
Canola, yeah.
Hey, thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy, mate. Busy few weeks coming up. Give it your all.
Yeah, mate. Take it on.
And all the best to your team, mate. Tell them all the best from us.
Thanks, fellas.
Cheers, mate. Local lad comes good, eh? Young Tyson Lamond. Just remember the little nipper running around the yacht club, and here he is with all his appendages in the American pie, so to speak.
Discussing Keely-Fawley things. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see that he's continued his path. It was always a given, though. It seemed he was under your wing, though, a fair bit, Bicey.
Yeah, no, we had a good couple of years there. Always just checked in with his old man, how to look after him. And he said, just make sure the little fucker's clipped on, Just make sure he's good. Good banter with Vince and Ty's older brother, Benny. So, they were good days. And good to see a young fella going so well.
Absolutely.
And he just he did it by rolling the dice. He had a go.
Had a crack. Exactly. And that I've been thinking, what is the difference? And I think there's a bit of a reputation for Aussies and Kiwis, especially who go overseas. It's just hard work, and it's constant work. And if there's nothing to do, just pick up a broom. It's pretty easy, type thing. Yep. And you just got to keep going at it.
Or a ruler and measure 23 millimetres.
23. But it's probably not so popular with wives and girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever it may be, just that work ethic. But that's what's required to kind of take the steps. And that's, what we're a bit of a common theme with everyone we do speak to. They're not afraid of a bit of hard work, and actually the stuff on the water's a small percentage of what actually goes on. So
I'm going to say on that point, particularly in reference to the male sailors that go overseas from Australia and New Zealand, when they do get over there, they do manage to pick up far, far above their league partners, a lot of our mates are rolling way higher than they should be. Is all I'll say.
Yeah, well,
Punching above their weight, so to speak.
I don't know. I just learnt Spanish. No, absolutely not. Wonderful. I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Good observation.
Yeah,
Good observation.
it's not just you, BP. There's plenty of them. There's plenty. I can name a whole list.
It's true, but there's it's life experience, and that's part of it. When you start off, when you leave here and go over there, you've generally done a fair bit of yachting, or you've done an apprenticeship, or you've done something, but you've got a goal in mind.
Yeah, and pick up a hot Sheila.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you get over there and you immerse yourself in it. And I guess for those who are thinking about going over, immersion is probably the word, because the hours you do are pretty intense, but the rewards are very high too.
Oh, dear. All right, let's move on. Because we've inspired another generation now.
That's the goal, the Bar Karate way. Actually, the new book will be out before Christmas, I think, isn't it? The Bar Karate International Sailing Rules.
That's it. Any secret pro news, gentlemen?
Oh, too close to home again.
Yeah, I've got a bunch, but if I look, this is getting beyond a joke now. We're going to have to start releasing some.
No, I think lead up to the Hobart, I'll be on the docks actually in a couple of days' time in Sydney for most of December. As will you be in the throw of things there, BP. So I'm sure we're going to be able to drag plenty of information out. So that will be the aim.
Well, as I've been saying, it is hotting up here, not just with the weather, considering it was 39 and 40 over the weekend, but yeah, pretty intense with the action that's going on.
And you're quite a clever dad, aren't you, BP? Because you managed to put the Spanish weather on for your daughter's 10th birthday. Aren't you a nice dad?
I am. My daughter Kendra turned 10 today, and yeah, we did all that. It was very Spanish, got to say. Yeah,
good on you. Well, tell us the restaurant you took her to for dinner, your daughter's 10th birthday. What restaurant was it?
Well, a new restaurant's opened up just up the road, and I couldn't help but notice it was called Dumplings.
Oh, and what was it?
And beer.
Dumplings and beer.
Did you ask if they serve Bar Karate Sailors Lager?
I should have. I didn't know, because it was just all too much for me to handle. Just having a 10th birthday, dumplings and beer all at once. It was just too much.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, well, happy birthday to Kendra, mate. And well done for organising that weather. You've got amazing power. It's been a crazy week this week in the world of sailing, is all I can say. Probably the craziest week. We couldn't believe it. We were really chuffed to have a chat to Tyson, but then everything else was not so chuffy. Major condolences to the American sailing community, the loss of Kevin Burnham, US Olympic sailor, I think 3 Olympics, a gold and a bronze. Won the gold in 2004 in Athens. Boss, you were saying he was 47?
No, it was Wilmot won there, but the was in Athens, and I didn't know Kevin, but I've seen, like, within the sailing community, all the outpouring of grief and everyone that he touched along the way. Was certainly a character full of life, probably pretty close to me, because there was a lot of references to Heineken, I must admit. But I believe his last Olympics competing in a 470 at 47 years of age.
That's what you're saying. Yeah,
ironic.
Yeah.
Ironic.
470,
sure,
47, yeah.
But but not only just the 470 sailors out there, but the rest of the sailing community. So condolences to all. Gone way too soon.
Yep. Right, and it doesn't get any easier. Well, it's probably nowhere near as bad in the scale of things, but if we cross over to the Vendée, we've had this amazing journey this week with Alex Thompson, where we followed everything, where he had to restructure his bow. You guys will be fully aware. Did you watch all that? Like
it was pretty intense.
Saw all the vids that he does, and I've got to say, before we move on to the next point, the documentation of what Alex has done, he's clearly either come up with the brief or been given the brief to communicate as much as he can as much as he can, and he has communicated, and he's told everyone about it, and he's gone through that repair meticulously, done it well, only to be thwarted by another disaster, which is it doesn't get much worse, and that is to no longer compete in the Vendée Globe.
Rudder damage. So
Yes.
he's heading to Cape Town with rudder damage. I must admit, when I heard this, I was wondering, because it's a flip-up rudder, I was thinking surely he's got a spare one on board. And
Yeah, it'll be interesting to know the details. But it's not just that. I mean, the whole structure at the back of the boat for the whole flipping mechanism and everything, it's super complex.
It is complex. So basically the whole bearing is the stock. So it's a pretty intense bit of kit, you know.
Yeah.
so he's out.
Yeah. He's out.
I'm not sure if we'll get Alex on. We'll go into that camp and see if we can get one of them to come on the show in a few weeks, maybe, or a little later on if they're in the mood.
I think they'll be a bit quiet for a while. They'll be just because of the effort that's gone into that after the first issue, and to get back on the water and to be a chance and to have the speed that was showing. I mean, there's obviously things that are right with the thought process that's gone into the boat, and we don't, rudder damage is rudder damage. What happens. But oh man, all that work and then to have it taken away so quickly, it would be gut-wrenching.
And speaking of gut-wrenching, one boat that was also went into the lead and was looking pretty good, was sitting second, has had a major bit of trouble, is Thomas Riant on Linked Out with port side foil damage. Boys, did you see this?
Oh, now, port side foil damage.
From where they are.
If you read through kind of the in chronological order and imagining what's going through Thomas' head, like what does he do next? And it's now been publicised, and that is basically get rid of it, cut it off.
Yeah, which he's done. Well,
it was about 2 meters. I was led to believe.
Yeah, basically. So there's still a bit of foil left, but he has cut off most of the tip. There's a video out there. If you go and look for it, you can see him doing it. But
I think you mentioned earlier, Bossy, how many hacksaw blades it would take.
Should take a few.
Do you reckon he took some 400 wet and dry out there as well?
But be nothing worse than losing your tip. He's still got the shaft though.
Yeah. It's how you use it, isn't it, really?
But the worst thing, though, when you think about it, like he's come all the way down the Atlantic and now he's heading into the Southern Ocean, and then when he goes back up, he's pretty much on starboard tack, port foil in the water for at least 90% of the rest of the race. Like he spent most of the time on the other foil. He must have just rolled over into a jibe or something, hit something, and damage to that. So devastating, absolutely devastating, because it's what happened to Alex last time around.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, Southern Ocean retraction of the foils would be quite high on the agenda when they get into the full NARM-off type things. But obviously going back up the Atlantic is where he's going to get hurt. But absolutely. I remember the discussions with the design team behind the Super 60, of which Linked Out is essentially out of that particular mould.
Yep.
There was quite a feeling to go much narrower in the boat.
Yep, but they didn't.
So you can, but there was a conscious decision to not go as narrow or super narrow because of something like this potentially happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the boats have a hell of a lot of form stability. The hulls do. So by all means, he's not going to be jumping out the water like previously, but he's still going to be able to sail pretty quick.
Yep. He's still going to be able to sail pretty quick, as Jean Le Cam can prove. But he's got.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up. I was not going to bring it up, and
he's on fire,
mate. Unbelievable. I think we said in one of the episodes. It all molds into one now, as I said a second ago. We said in one of the episodes that these falling boats, obviously, yes, they have mock speeds. They have turbo speeds, but one of these boats is going to get through with a normal setup, and they're going to. And it's taken a legend to do it, but Cam, yes, we can. Apparently,
yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yeah, he's on fire. But there is still a bit of foil sticking out, so I reckon Tomar could still be going pretty well. But it is a shame. It is a shame. We wanted to see that boat at full noise.
Just a little note from a bit of a side from this. I was with Sammy Hunt having a chat today at the MC38 regatta, and he said something very funny to me. He said, "Oh, and the two bar karate 60s are going well."
Shit, I knew I should have got those stickers printed.
So I thought you'd like that one, just to pass that one on to you.
The bar karate stickers, that's right.
Fantastic.
Well, with your boat, when that boat starts smashing, mate, we'll have had fingers in all the fast boats in the world there for a while.
Remind me some bar karate sailor slugging news at the end of the show.
It's on my little list, mate. All right, well, let's move on. So, because we're getting a bit heavy on our 23% serious at the moment. And it's still serious because...
But hang on. What about Charlie Darling? You ever chat about him? He's just out there having a good time, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's doing well. I reckon he's going to get caught up a little bit just looking at the weather patterns. He's just going to... he's sort of just a little far forward on that the next pressure line, so the others will come to him a bit, I reckon. But he's going to have a nice lead. You know, you just stay between them and the next corner.
The old rubber band effect.
Yeah, they'll close up on him a bit. Kevin Escoffier is starting to come through.
I've got to tell you though,
what?
How far north is the bloody ice skates?
Yeah.
The restriction. Yeah.
You'll be able to drive down and see him in your little tinny, mate.
Well, I was going to take the Defender, actually. That's how close it is.
Watch him off the cliffs.
Man, I think he'd be a lot more comfortable than Tinny. You probably want to be starting to think about leaving now, though.
Fair enough.
Right, so we got all fired up as well this week because the Jules Verne was started to fire up. So Sadibo and Gitana, or the two big old teams. I'm not sure if Gitana is still an old team anymore, but took off. They saw a weather window and they took off. Absolutely,
and didn't they take off?
Just flying. So they've gone for the Jules Verne, trying to break the 40-day mark, and we got all fired up. We were watching. Everything's all going gangbusters, and then Gitana pulls out last night.
It crashed into an arc boat.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the ARC rally just started from the Canary Islands and is heading across the Atlantic. A very small version of the ARC this time around, but there is a fleet going, and we were wondering what would happen, and obviously, you know, those old teams came through and cracked. But rudder damage and foil damage.
Poor rudder.
And
so, from what I can understand is the rudder blade itself is still fine, but probably the elevator or something has gone on there, and they can't retract it to try and get to fully assess the damage. So they've subsequently decided to call off their attempt. Hopefully it's a quick fix. I mean, there'd be more than one rudder in the shed, so maybe there's still another attempt before the season's out.
That's it. They said if they'd kept going, there would have been no more attempts. So, it has to be perfect to break that record. So they decided to go back home and wait for another weather window. So we've still got Sadibo charging around out there, but they don't reckon the weather is going to play out to favour them. So Thomas Coville may actually turn around and pull out, but we'll see. We'll see. He's still going. So. There's what's in the Atlantic Ocean? Is there like a brick wall someone's built and people are all just collecting it, or what? What's going on?
Well, let's face it, when your traditional Volvo boat or Whitbread boat or whatever has probably apart from the bulb, a surface area of about 100 mil wide travelling through the water, be it the fin or the rudder. Now you've got these boats, take a 60, you've got like 4 metres wide travelling at the surface.
Oh,
and then you've got the big the old teams, and they've got elevators on the rudders. So just the who knows, in the sense of one little floating object. It's
amazing how many
like
boats have been taken out. It is amazing.
And doing such a pace, you don't have to hit much to blow something up.
No. It would be really interesting to see. I mean, we're doing some tests on our rudders at the moment as to what, actually the impacts and what they do. But at those speeds, it wouldn't take much at all either. It might just take a lot, like a little bit of flotsam or jetsam or something that would probably do the damage.
Maybe we need to get the Tarwan in the leading edges of everything. Aramid fibres on the leading edges of everything. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So who knows? But something's going to happen. There's so much damage.
I look at that. Here's my point. If you start putting things, Kevlars and all whatever for impact, impact resistance.
Tarwan, mate, not Kevlar.
On whatever it is, on the leading edges. On the leading edges, the damage is only going to go to somewhere else. I mean, it's just going to keep going.
That's right. That's right. We had a great relationship with the guys at Tyson on the race, who's one of the premier fibre manufacturers in the world, and they make a aramid fibre called Tuaron, and I just was,
as opposed to the DuPont fibre called Kevlar, but we don't mention that word.
See, this is where I'm not in with things like you guys.
That's you're in with other things, mate. You're good. All right, let's move on. We got to finish up. We waffled on a bit here. The match racing, BP. There's a bit of match racing going on.
Well, it's been a huge. I actually said it the other day. I said, okay, so what do you get when you put Tom Slingsby, Will Ryan, Sam Newton, Ben Lamb, Harry Price, Gus Williams, Matt Stenter, and Will McKenzie in two boats? You get a match racing final. The Bolle Australia match racing final was held on Friday with Tom Slingsby coming up trumps. Very close racing all week between the majority of the fleets. But I bumped into Tom today and in his humble way, as he is, just said yes. We had a great week and came
Can we
through.
bloody teach him nothing?
I know.
Exactly.
So we smashed those pricks.
Yes, exactly.
Fuck. Get some banter on, for crying out loud. Slingsby.
Yeah, righto. So anyway, we'll do that. But he just came out and had a great week, and I think that all the team at the CYCA and Bolle and Bolle Australia and everyone put together a great week, and the racing was awesome. So there you go.
Well, Bicey, just for the banter, I will say my little prodigy, James Hodgson. I think he was the defending Australian champion in the match racing. He wasn't there. I think he's had shoulder surgery or something, so he wasn't there. He's up on the coast putting on weight. Give some exercise, James. He did put the sledge in. He just said, "You boys were lucky I wasn't there." So
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
Well done.
Well done, James. Good work.
Taught him well.
Well, that's the way to do it. But anyway, that's how it ended up.
And he's probably not as inappropriate as you. So you've taught him all the good bits.
Hey, so there you go. Just finishing up. Tom Slingsby on Sail Racing Australia gets up over Harry Price from Down Under Racing. So it was a great week.
Cool.
Well done.
Beer news. This is it. Beer news.
Beer news.
Oh, but you told us to remind you of something.
Beer news.
Yes.
It's good.
So, beer. The good news is, well, I'll go back one more week. The bad news was going to be we were struggling to get beer made for the summer break. And after all our commitments with the Harkin Summer of Sail, the Sydney Hobart, blah, 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 we were looking down the barrel a little bit. But the good news is our friends from Slipstream up in Brisbane have come through with the goods, and we'll have enough cartons of beer to get us through QLD down in Hobart.
Beautiful.
Get us through the SA Summer of Sail, get us through all those other regattas that are coming up. I know we've got the Etchells coming up, BP. Phil Harmer worded me up about the 12-foot skiffs. We got the mighty Blue Water Classic, the Teakle Adelaide Port Lincoln race coming up. So
VX1 Nationals.
VX1 Nationals. So we are going to have enough beer for everyone.
Are you sure?
Until at least about the 6th of January.
I was going to say.
But so what I've done actually specifically for the SA Summer of Sale is actually, I'm like, how do we actually display the beer the best? And it would be great to have like a clear, like an esky or something on the bar to, see the beer in its natural habitat.
An aquarium.
Held in ice.
In its natural habitat.
I've spoken to Seaview Aquariums. There you go, Seaview Aquariums, give us a discount. And
www.
they have out the back of their warehouse the perfect aquarium, essentially for beer to be put on the bar. The right width, right everything.
Nice.
I've got our art guy doing some stickers up.
Nice.
So
Are you going to do it like a under the water scene? Like with where the treasure's buried type of thing. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. No, I won't be doing that. But in the meat, so first of all, just I know we're running out of time here, but so I start searching clear esky, clear perspex, blah blah blah, and within 3 minutes, I've brought myself the mega esky for my back deck. It's on wheels, got the lids coming up. Oh, unbelievable!
Wow.
So that didn't come out of the company goggles. Don't worry about that.
It's all good. Go for it. Go for it anyway.
And for the regular punters, because I get a message every day.
Yes.
I get messages every day from people. When's the beer coming? When's the beer coming? We will have some. Oh, just probably it's another week or two away still. But we have new technology for this round to make sure that you get your beer.
Yep. There'll be an online platform of which we'll more than likely announce during next week's episode and obviously make it loud and proud on the socials. But if you do have any questions, just let us know. But we'll get it out there. You'll be able to order online. It'll be delivered, especially to clubs. So mention that to your clubs that will be available. And there will be a link that will be provided. And happy days.
So instead of one of us, or me in particular, drive around in Sydney in my Holden Commodore, we've actually now got a 2004 Nissan Urban.
We're going up in the world.
No, just jokes. It's all good. Obviously, the boys are all over it, so we've got ways and means to get the beer to you in a proper way.
Cool. All right.
You're here.
All right, that's it. I think that's it. America's Cup intro.
Yes.
And thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Yeah. See you, boys.
See you, boys.
Bye.